Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and board members, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if tech problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by law. Viewers can visit the localscene.media/Duxbury/ formerly PAC TV to watch a video replay of this meeting on Duxbury YouTube. Welcome, welcome. Well, there is a chance that we will be finishing our work for this town meeting tonight. We have special town meeting and one article from the annual. And we'll have to then discuss what meetings we want to have posted between now and March. I'm sure we have some things that we want to keep available, but you know, the work here is done. And I've never been happier to say anything in my life. It's been a long haul, but you know, you did a great job in getting us all the information that we needed, Mary, to get the work done. So you know, we'll see where it goes. All right, so why don't we start by, we have some minutes. Why don't we get those voted? Because if we don't, I'll forget about them. Friend, do you want to?
Yes, I'd be happy to. We'll start with the, we've got the 13th, the 11th, and the 6th. So we'll start from the oldest and come forward.
Okay.
On the meeting in February 6th, I have made one minor correction.
Okay.
I'm getting to it. Oh, yeah, it's just the last page under comments. Ms. McKinnon announced that this meeting concludes the 5 joint meetings that were scheduled. Add a D, scheduled.
Thank you.
That's all I have on that one. Therefore, I'd like to move the minutes.
I have one other.
Oh, good
I
view.
have one on that.
Yep.
I was actually attending by Zoom,
Oh,
but there was an audio problem here so that I couldn't access.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure.
You were present, you were zoomed in. Okay. Okay, based on those two, I would move the minutes of February 6th of 2025 as amended.
Second,
All right, we'll do the usual circle. Kathleen's up there. Chuck, you want to start?
Chuck, I.
Friend, I.
ally,
Sean, I.
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
Kathleen, I. Okay, great.
All right, that brings us to the minutes of the 11th, and I have a few corrections. First page, under announcements. But after checking with town council, it is in effect a negative vote. That is in effect, I think. I went through all the numbers. And I get to bottom of page 3, which was the end of the general government. And it was, Mr. Wiley moved and approved the aforementioned departments and line items in the general government budget A. Shouldn't that be budget B? Because we were voting the override, so it's budget B, not budget A. Correct?
Yes.
So on all of them, you've got budget A when it should say budget B. Fair enough?
Yep.
All right. And then we go to the roll call vote. On all of them, it's the same issue. You've listed Kathleen and Ted as abstaining from the vote when they're absent from the vote
Sorry.
in the block, because the vote's 7-0-0.
Yeah.
So everything was an abstention. I mean, there were no abstentions. There were 7 of us voting yes and 2 absent.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
And that's the same in each block. That pattern was repeated. And again, under public safety, it's 5B, not 5A. I checked all the numbers. Then under DPW, it's 5A, not 5B, and again, the vote. After the roll call vote for the DPW budget, the third line, it says Mr. Wiley moved to approve Department 610, library line 16, salaries in the amount of 59,064. It should be a comma, not a decimal point. 95,064.
I'm sorry, what page you were?
It's not numbered. It's right after the roll call vote for the DPW budget. It's the 1, 2, 3rd section there. Mr. Weiler moved to approve Department 610. Library, line 66, salaries in the amount of 95,000. I can give you my minutes afterwards if you want.
Okay, great, that'd be great, yeah.
And then again, the Council on Aging, Library and Rec, again, it's 5A. It's not 5A, it's 5B. And again, in the roll call vote, they're not abstaining, they're absent.
Yeah.
Roll call vote, and then, when you moved, let's see. 5A, okay. Mr. Weiler moved to approve Department 916, employee and retiree health, that should be 914, not 916. You follow that one?
Is that the library?
It's after the library, it's where we're doing all of the shared costs. Employee benefits, health insurance, unemployment comp, all those. It's the first one, it's employee and retiree health insurance. It was department listed as Department 16, but it's Department 916, but it's 914.
Right.
And again, all the votes, it's just the same, that they're abstains instead of absence. And that's it.
Thank you.
I move the minutes of February 11, 2025 as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Chuck, aye.
Fred,
Friend, I
Al, aye.
was writing.
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
Great.
If you'd like, Linda, I'll give you these afterwards so you can see them.
Perfect.
And then on the last one on February 13th, I have a couple of suggestions. In my printout, which is large print, so it's quite different than everybody else's, on the top page 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the section that starts off, it's after the roll call vote regarding Article 4, which I abstained from. So it's after that. Then the 1, 2, second paragraph, which starts off with Mr. Glennon spoke up to say blah, 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 go down the next sentence. It starts the sentence, he asked how we will advertise and market that position. With the shit, no, I guess I changed my mind. I think the way it is written is proper. The bottom of that page, after the roll call vote for capital light. Mr. Holman read each of the 7th line in the water enterprise account. I believe it should read, Mr. Holman read line 7, water enterprise account. Okay,
Yes.
next page. After the roll call vote for that, section 1, 2, 3, 4, Mr. Weiler noted, and I'll just read the corrections as I get to them. Mr. Weiler noted it would take a lot to address the revenue, get rid of the and versus expense issue. And the town would need blah, 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 blah. The next sentence, the voters are sensitive to the fact that the town, and I would strike, shouldn't be held hostage to knowing, because I don't think that made any sense to me. It should say, the voters sensitive to the fact that the town, skip all the way down to, will need to focus on these problems and possible behavioral changes. Not business as usual, just strike, should be held hostage knowing it.
Okay.
I don't know where that came from, I don't know, it didn't make sense to me when I read it, if I said it. It didn't make sense. So that was the only change.
And if I said it didn't make sense, then
Yeah,
yeah.
you know,
Very
I
good.
figured
Yeah,
that at least makes sense to me.
Yeah,
So
sure.
maybe it's
I'm
reflective
with
of the
you.
minutes what I was thinking. So I will move the minutes of February 13, 2025 as amended.
Second.
Just
All those in favor?
a question,
Chuck?
or,
Abstain. Brenda, I.
Al, aye.
I have, an additional,
Okay,
Oh, very good.
sorry.
page 2, just above the roll call vote, there's a missing Y at the end of
Oh, sorry.
my name, no worries. And then just a general comment, and I'm not sure if this is something that needs to be adjusted in the minutes, but the number count on pages stops at 2. So everything is page 102, 202, 302, 402, and 502. So I don't know if that is something that needs adjustment, that seems more like a technical thing with the printout, but just something.
Yeah, because mine didn't print that way. Mine's 505,
Okay,
so.
I print mine out and I get no page numbers, so. What can I say?
fair enough.
Thank you.
So, are you prepared to vote as amended? Ron?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Betsy, I,
Kathleen
Yeah.
abstain.
okay, so.
So
402,
abstain, 2 abstain. 3 yes,
4 years.
4 yes and
402.
4 years.
402. Okay, thank you.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you. I don't like to let those pile up because then you just get in trouble.
A lot of reading all at once.
Yes, thank you for doing that. Excellent blue pencil, sir.
Yeah.
All right, so onward and upward, let's get the annual town meeting finished before we hit special. So we just have Article 24. Okay, Article 24. I don't know if I have. Oh, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you. Citizens petition to accept Checkerberry Hill as a public way. We were waiting for the planning board to make a determination. They have. They voted it down because the petition was not received within 45 days for them to do their due diligence to see if indeed the neighborhood conforms with what is necessary for the town to accept a public way. I don't know who the citizen is. But what I will do is I will reach out to them and let them know our determination. I'll get Nancy to let me know who it is and advise them that perhaps they might consider indefinitely postponing so that they don't have to wait 2 years to come back. So I would oops, sorry, there you go. No worries. Yeah, I know, really. All right, so
We
can
can't,
I have a motion? Well, we need to vote on it. We can't, we can vote for it, we can vote against it, or we can abstain. We can't indefinitely postpone it because it's a citizen's petition.
but you want to vote for the record.
They want to vote for the record, yeah.
And the planning board has voted against it
They
and
voted
the,
against it, because they did not, as
Yeah.
my understanding after speaking is they did not have adequate time to determine whether the subdivision was acceptable.
is this also one that the DPW
Was opposed.
was
yes.
opposed to?
Yes,
Yeah.
the DPW was opposed to this one.
Yep, I don't remember why they were opposed to it, but they were. Does anybody remember what Sheila's?
We kind of stopped as soon as that meeting.
She wasn't here to
Because
explain
it
it, right?
had, my understanding is the DPW director was not in favor because the road had not been proven to meet town standards. And as soon as we accept it, we are then responsible for repairs and maintenance on it, and she would prefer that it be that we determine that it meets town standards before we assume responsibility.
And then that's what we were waiting for the planning board, and they weren't able to get the time they needed, so I say I would think we should just vote it and
And I will
See if
promise
he's-
that I will reach out to the citizen and
if he's
let them
willing to
know.
IP, otherwise it'll be.
Yeah, and let them know that their choices as
Right.
far as it can just go ahead and still be presented at town meeting and they can make their case to the town meeting, or they can IP it and come back to fight another day.
Right.
Actually, it would
So
only,
shall we take the vote?
yeah,
Yes.
let's do it.
I move Article 24, citizens petition to accept Checkerberry Hill as a public way. Second,
Second,
okay, it's moved in second.
All right,
Chuck, no.
Fred, no.
Al, no.
Sean, no.
Betsy, no?
Kathleen, no.
Okay. All right. There we go. Annual town meeting, put a fork in it.
It will only that easy.
All right, so now let's get on to the special
So,
here.
excuse me, are we gonna come back to that Article 26 at some point? The declaring the climate emergency?
The way you guys left it is that you are going to wait until town meeting and take.
Oh, okay, so.
Right.
After you had heard the presentation and additional information.
Right, I mean, if I were voting it now, I'd say no, just
Yeah,
because
right, yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah,
encumber,
sure,
the, you know, obligate the town to.
Mhm.
It didn't make sense, it seemed like a great idea, but, you know, we don't typically,
Yeah, in principle, it sounds okay. but-
Yeah.
Is this the climate emergency article?
right. It
Okay,
just seemed a bit grandiose for a town meeting article, but I could be misreading, and that's, you know, that was just my
Get
take.
helpful, when a town acknowledges a climate emergency, it means they're publicly stating that climate change is a serious and urgent crisis that requires immediate action. This signifies their commitment to prioritize policies and initiatives aimed at mitigating its effects within their own community. It's essentially a declaration that they recognize the severity of the issue and are taking a stand to address it with urgency. So I know that doesn't bind the town to doing anything, it's more of a proclamation. But I also don't know if there's anything further attached when you identify your town as one that
Right,
acknowledges.
and it's that whole prioritize and, you know, say, for example, you know, they wanted to, that whole conversation about raising the road down by Powder Point. Well, what if raising the road down by Powder Point is, you know, $100 million to rip up those roads and I'm making stuff up. This is obviously not real numbers. Yeah, we may prioritize it, but we may not be able to afford to act on it. And so, yeah,
This does have some language in here that does have some requirements. For example, under item number 7. It says Duxbury must match Massachusetts's decarbonization roadmap, which aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 85% by 2050 and ultimately achieve net zero emissions. And so that would be a binding statement that says Duxbury must match those, which means that may require the town to undertake some sorts
Yeah,
of action.
I'm not inclined to vote for this particular article.
yeah, it does seem some of the language is binding and I can't obligate future town meetings for situations that I have no knowledge of today, so. Anyway, so I'm willing to vote it, but if you all want to wait, we can wait as well. You,
Oh, wait, I
What?
can wait.
No, nothing, Kenneth.
what?
We can wait to tell me.
Yep, wait for town meeting?
The discussion be held and then vote.
Okay, perfect, great. So, we will just wait on that one. So off to the special,
And does everybody have a copy of their special town meeting?
Yes.
I still need this.
Does anybody need one? I think I have one extra copy with me.
All set, okay,
Okay, so Article 1. Article 1 is supplemental appropriations. This is a financial article, but the net impact is $0. It is essentially asking the town to support 3 different transfers of existing appropriations in order to complete projects that are related but are outside of the initial scope. So let me walk through them for you. The first 2 lines deal with the fuel depot, and back at the March 2022 town meeting, there was an article to support the replacement of the fuel depot roof canopy. And what has happened since that town meeting is that appropriation is insufficient to complete the work for replacing the roof canopy. And in doing the design and investigation of the project, turns out that the project is a much larger scale project. And I believe you guys have heard Sheila talk about that when she presented her budget. So what we are asking is that the remaining $70,866 that exists in the original article, that we repurpose it to a new article called Fuel Depot Design and Engineering, so that the DPW department can get started on design and engineering that is a broader scope than just the roof canopy. It involves other components of the fuel depot.
okay.
So that's the first transfer, repurposing that article. The second one is the PFAS prioritization plan. So there's been a lot of conversation about PFAS, and at last year's town meeting under Article 14, the town appropriated $700,000 to a subject called developing a PFAS prioritization plan. A number of folks have been working on this project, and they are at the point now where they are ready to start to do, are intending to do some design and engineering of a PFAS treatment plant. There is money left over, $210,000 from the article of last year. And we are asking to repurpose that to a broader scope called design, engineering, and OPM services for the design of a treatment facility. Any questions on that one?
Yeah,
Is it just,
I do, Mayor. Go ahead, Betsy.
no, you go ahead, Kathleen. I think we're probably asking the same question.
Yeah, so are we committed to building a PFAS treatment plant? I'm not quite sure what this is.
We have not committed to building a full treatment plant yet. The working group, out for argument's sake, we'll call it the Water Sewer Advisory Board, in conjunction with other folks, are in the middle right now of finishing identifying the priority projects. And then their intent had always been to have funding available so that once they finish the completion of that prioritization plan, that they have some funding available to start working on what they identify as the first priority. And so this repurposing would allow them to get started on the design and engineering of a project that becomes the first priority.
And who agreed upon the priorities, and I guess I'm a little confused as to what the spend is and how the spend is being authorized to do an actual execution of the plan, Mary?
So the priorities have not been set yet. That's what they're working on right now.
Yeah,
And once they complete that work with their consultant and present that to the select board, then the working group in conjunction with the select board will identify the priority plan that would be worked on.
What, the selectmen are water and sewer commissioners? So the water and sewer commissioners, the selectmen / water and sewer commissioners would be the ones that would approve the plan. The money was approved last year. They just want to use what's left over in that article to keep to have money to do any further designs that they deem appropriate.
To add to that a little bit, so last year we had two articles. We had Article
Right.
14, which was to develop the priority plan, and then we also had Article 15, which was to do exactly what we're talking about, which is to move forward with whatever gets identified as the first priority. Article 15 was for $1 million. That is not sufficient funding for them to move forward with the full design and engineering of a priority plan. So what they're looking to do is take this $210,000 and add it to the existing $1 million appropriation to have $1.2 million in order to be able to move forward with the priority project once it's been identified. So it's the same intent as Article 15. Article 15, however, is a borrowing article, so I'm not going to commingle those two. So this would be establishing, we close out the existing Article 14 and move that funding into a new article.
And it supports existing monies already approved.
Exactly, for the same purpose, yeah.
Okay. I'm good.
okay, thank you.
Okay, the third, any other questions on that one? Okay, the third one is, this is school capital, and the school department has, at the March 24 town meeting last year, we appropriated funding for the school department to close in those open classrooms that they had talked about. That project came in under budget. There was a surplus remaining, and so what we are asking to do is to repurpose that surplus from one school project to another. And that other school project that needs to be completed is some rehabilitation work on Onion Field. And by doing it this way and by doing it in the special, that provides the funding available for the school department to work on that before softball season starts over the summer.
And that will satisfy the
It's a softball field that's on the other side of the street, not on the
yeah,
school
yeah,
side.
I know where it is. So that
Okay.
38,265 will be sufficient to make that happen.
Yes, we have quotes in hand.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on those transfers?
No. I have a motion, please. Do you want should we move want us to do it by line, or do you want us to do it? Okay, the whole article.
I think
So,
if we moved Article 1 supplemental appropriations as presented.
yep, that works for me. Yep,
Kathleen, didn't mean to step on your toes. Would you like to move and I'd second?
No, Frank, Fred, since I'm not in the room with y'all, I think it probably works better if that
I
I'm
felt
remote.
badly that I jumped up there prematurely.
You're
All
taking
right.
care of business.
I move Article 1 in the special town meeting supplemental appropriations as presented.
Second.
okay.
Roll call vote.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Chuck?
Chuck, I.
Brenda, aye.
Al, I,
John, I.
Betsy, aye.
Kathleen, I.
Okay. 600.
Article 2 is unpaid bills. There are 9 unpaid bills. The first 5 relate to the water enterprise and which those bills would be funded using water retained earnings. And then the remaining 4 bills are from town departments. Total is $13,565.18. And I did not bring my chart on what exactly those invoices are for.
They're
Hard to question.
de minimis.
Yeah,
I move Article 2 in a special town meeting, unpaid bills as presented.
second,
All those in favor? Chuck?
Chuck, I.
Brenda, aye.
Al, I,
Sean, I.
Okay, Betsy, aye.
Kathleen, I.
Okay, beautiful. And so we switched that up. Fred moved and Al seconded.
yes,
Correct.
Okay. Just to keep you on your toes back there, Linda. All right,
all right.
Article 3.
Article 3 and the remaining articles.
I just have a question. Like,
Okay.
going back, is that, when it says it requires a 9/10 vote, so 90% of the people at town meeting have to vote in favor of that?
Yes,
Well,
It's the only one like it.
Yeah.
Unpaid bills.
not weird.
anyway,
I think it's,
Well, what's even weirder is if it's in a special, it's a 9/10 vote, and if it's in an annual, it's a 4/5 vote.
because you know there's gonna be a certain percentage gonna vote against it no matter what.
oh, this municipal stuff is so quirky.
All right,
Yeah, what's the protocol if a 9/10 vote is not secured?
Just to keep you all awake, that's all.
My understanding is an unpaid bill would just grow in terms of costs, so.
Yeah, vendors have the opportunity to charge us interest on unpaid charges. So it's important that the town meet its obligations. Okay, all right, the next
Look
couple.
up, see like why it's not kind of when you get up later, not tonight. I'm
It's
curious.
because you're using current monies to pay previous obligations. Okay, so the next couple of articles deal with free cash transfers. And so to let everybody know, free cash was certified this morning at $2,813,415. So that's 2,813,415. Okay.
A little bit better than you thought.
So it is in line with taking out the sort of COVID years where we had, surplus funding. It brings us back in line with what the town had traditionally generated in free cash in previous years.
2,000,008, right?
2.8.
Right, well,
Correct.
thank you.
Okay, all right, so Article 3 is transferring funding to OPEB from free cash. And I'm recommending $190,000 be transferred from free cash to our OPEB, other post-employment benefits trust fund.
And that satisfies our minimum contribution?
It does not, Kathleen. The recommended, so remember that, your policies are guidelines, they're recommendations or targets that we try to achieve. In this particular case, given the level of free cash that's available and the amount that we have obligated to Article 6 capital and Article 7 capital light, the funding that remains available would be insufficient for us to reach that target for this year. So the request is for $190,000. And if you read the description of the article, you'll see that I put the balance in there. As of June 30, our total planned assets under management is $6,062,210.
I'm just catching up, Mary, okay. So,
Right. Oh, I'm sorry, Kathleen, you have a question?
yeah, I had a question just about the minimum annual contribution of $300,000. Do we then, if we're short on any given year, do we then recoup that or just move on? In outlying years is what I'm trying to get to.
We would look to recoup that if their funding is available.
That's a big caveat there, Barry. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. The 51 million?
Yeah. Okay. Answered, thank you.
A motion for Article 3?
I move Article 3 in the special town meeting, other post-employment benefits in the amount of $190,000.
Second.
Chuck, I.
Chuck,
Brenda, aye.
Al, aye.
Sean, I.
Betsy, aye.
Kathleen, I.
600, okay.
Excellent. Article number 4, transfer to stabilization. I am requesting that you recommend to indefinitely postpone this article. Again, given the available funding and the amount that we have committed to other purposes, I'm recommending that we postpone this article. To bring to your attention, there is in our financial policies a target recommendation of having a balance in the stabilization fund equal to 5 to 7% of our current operating budget. And if you look in the description, I've given you the balance in the town stabilization fund as of June 30, 2024 is just over $7 million, which equates to 8.5%. So we are over target in the stabilization at this time, and therefore I feel comfortable that we can indefinitely postpone this article for this year's town meeting.
Mary,
Sounds prudent.
you say that the enhancement of this reserve is a major factor, but does that enhancement kind of have like a reduced impact over that 8.5%? Is that kind of where the town aims to be?
I guess I'm trying to follow your question, Sean. Do we aim to be at 8.5, or are we trying to, are you asking, are we trying to get lower than 8.5?
No, I'm
Oh.
asking, so the justification for this article in that following line is the enhancement of this reserve is a major factor when rating agencies consider our upgrades. And it seems to me that the goal was to maintain high ratings according to the Standard & Poor's and Moody's. Is the value of the 8.5% at a point where like
that it's attractive. And so when I have my bond rating call with the bond rating agencies in a couple of months, one of the things that we will be emphasizing is the fact that we have exceeded our internal financial policies in terms of a target on our contributions there. So we will emphasize the 8.5%.
okay.
It's a measure of the health.
Exactly.
I have a couple of questions. I don't know whether I have an old version of the special. Because in the body of Article 3 and Article 4, it talks about numbers that you're recommending.
And those have since changed.
So this will be rewritten. There isn't another version out there that I don't have.
There is not another version.
So the 300 just becomes the 190.
We ended up utilizing more in capital. In order to accomplish some things that were very much needed for our departments.
And originally stabilization was going to get 200, but it's going to be IP.
That is correct.
And again, we're IPing it rather than just taking it off because it's too late to take it off the
That is correct.
warrant. Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Sure.
Ready for a motion?
Motion to IP.
Yeah, I move, Article 4, the special town meeting stabilization fund to be IP.
Second.
All those in favor?
Chuck, I.
Friend, I.
Now I.
Sean, I.
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
Okay,
Excellent. Article 5 is the accrued liabilities and compensated absences fund. This is the fund that is utilized when we have employees who separate from the town of Duxbury, and we may owe them compensation for any accrued and unused liabilities, basically their, vacation time. And so I am recommending that we transfer $110,000 of free cash into this fund. That $110,000 would align with the financial policy targets of meeting the average payments over the last 5 years. And more importantly, it's important that we make a contribution to this fund in preparation for if the override budget does not pass and we do face reductions in force. From some of those separations, there will be obligations that the town will be required to pay those employees. And therefore, we need to make sure that we have funding available to meet those obligations.
I think that's a very prudent.
Sobering.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
I move Article 5 in the special town meeting accrued liabilities and compensated absences fund in the amount of $110,000.
Second.
Chuck, I.
Friend, I.
Now I.
Sean, I.
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
Okay. 600. Cool.
Article 6 is matching grant funds, and I am requesting that you support a transfer of $150,000 from free cash into an article for matching grant funds. I will let you know that in the past couple of years, the town has appropriated $250,000. We currently have last year's article with $250,000 still in hand. However, we have obligated those funds. We have not paid them out yet, but they have both, they have been obligated to 2 different projects. One of them is $125,000 that has been obligated to the removal of that Temple Street Dam, which is a conservation project that Nancy Ruffo had described for us. And the other is, we recently received a $500,000 complete streets grant to construct some sidewalks over on Washington Street. It requires a town match, so the other $125,000 that we have on hand would be earmarked for that project. So the existing article that we have effectively does not have anything left in it after those 2 obligations are satisfied. This would provide new funding for the next fiscal year of $150,000 for any potential grant matches that are needed.
Motion?
Yes, please.
I move Article 6 in the special town meeting matching grant funds in the amount of $150,000.
Second.
Chuck, I.
Friend, I.
Now I.
Sean, I.
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
600. Good.
And the last article is the tennis courts, the construction of the tennis courts, which you heard a presentation of this article when CPC was here in January. And the reason that you did not vote it back in January was because we were moving it to the special so that it could start sooner. And you guys had not seen the special town meeting warrant at that point in time, so you wanted to wait until it was put into the warrant so that you could vote on it.
These would not be funds from free cash. These are CPC funds.
And they're coming from the undesignated fund balance of CPC, and there is sufficient funding in there in order to cover the cost of, it was $118,000.
Friend?
So we never did vote it originally?
You did
No.
not.
Because it was moving from, remember this was the one they wanted to get it done in time
Yes.
for the new playground christening or kickoff?
Yeah, but yeah,
Yep,
And these are the courts that, I can't remember, was it Steve took pictures the day of and.
They're a
presented
mess.
at the town meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a mess.
All right, move Article 7 in the special town meeting, CPC. Construction of 2 tennis courts at Wadsworth Park in the amount of $118,000.
Second,
All right,
Chuck, I.
Friend, I.
Al, I.
Sean, I.
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
Okay, cool. Special town meeting. Done. All right. So potentially, what else do we need to deliberate between now and, I'm gonna take that one, that was mine.
Well, any reserve fund transfer that's close.
Yep,
There may be some depending on, there may or may not be some.
How about we not schedule something for Tuesday, but schedule something for Thursday? And if need be, we can cancel the meeting, just so we have it on the calendar.
okay,
Make sense?
it does. Just so people can, kind of schedule appropriately. So right now, we have, so that would mean cancel the 25th. Linda, and keep the 27th on the books.
Okay,
And the 6th, just in case there's something right before town meeting that we have to potentially act on. And cancel the 4th, yes,
Works for me.
works for me,
So
We
both of,
typically hold,
both of them are Thursdays.
Yes.
yes, but we're just putting them
That's
in
fine, yeah.
there.
So.
Then we have a meeting on the
In case
26th.
they do need us to do something.
Right, there's another one of the meetings at the little theater there at the high
On the
school
26th,
on the 26th.
you're gonna be going to that one.
I'm gonna go to that
I'll
one,
be in the audience, so I'll come and
waving, yep, good.
wave it,
And
make faces.
we also are posted the morning of town meeting. And what time? I mean, I
Meetings
don't,
at 9.
meetings at 9, we usually post at 8, but I don't think we really have anything that we have to do too much that morning, so. That, Linda, if you could just make sure that we're posted for 8 that morning, that'd be great.
Sean, any question?
I was just saying to Betsy, don't jinx it.
Did
Just so
you
we don't
ask
say-
if I was gonna bring your donuts again? Oh, Sean, I would never forget your munchkins. So,
can I announce one other?
yes, please do.
Meeting that has been scheduled, so on Wednesday, February 26th. Which is, as you were just talking about, that is the night of the next forum, and that forum is at 6:30 p.m. At 10 a.m. that same day, on Wednesday, February 26th, 10 a.m. in this room. I will be here with some members of our assessing office to do the tax relief seminar that we had announced that we would be conducting for the community.
Great.
So from 10 to 11 here in this room.
Okay, that'd be good.
How was, those, I know the first one was pretty well attended, was the second one?
Friend,
The first one,
The second one's next week.
the second one's next week. The first one I attended.
well,
I thought they were.
we still, we
yeah.
did another one, but
Yeah, you did one, well, there were 2 before. One was sponsored by the Democratic Party, then there was one sponsored by the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Those were at the library.
Yeah.
And then the first public forum sponsored by the town
Mhm.
was on the 6th. That
whatever.
was the 6th, and I attended in Betsy's absence, and I think it went well. I mentioned this, I think at the last meeting when you were away. There were about 45 to 50 people in the room, guests.
Yeah.
About every department head was there, so there was a very good turnout from the town side. Fernando did his slide deck presentation, which he's pretty good at now. He's done it a few times, so.
Kind of
Yeah,
professional.
One
really.
slide that was a little complicated, that had to do with why some tax bills go up and some go down year to year, but it was explained, and I think it was understood at the end. Then it was open for Q and A that probably lasted another 45 minutes. I think everybody was respectful. I think it was well received. I wish there were hundreds of people in the room.
I'm surprised
But
that's all it was.
it was taped and broadcast, so people were able to see it online. I don't know how many people, do we have any idea how many people may have tuned in? So I don't know how many may have tuned in. There's a second one on the 26th.
It wasn't broadcast that night. It was,
Oh, was
I think it was recorded though,
And so it's out there, cable land if you want
somewhere,
to
I
watch
think,
it.
but
And the next one's on the 26th. Now, I think that morning is also the motions meeting. Is that correct?
That is correct. That
The 26th?
is correct.
At 9.
9 a.m.
it'll be a real ripper that day, huh?
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
I have one question I'd like to ask.
Sure.
What would be the feelings of the finance committee if we wrote a letter to the editor of the Clipper? Talking about Article 5A, B, and B, in terms of why we voted to support it. Do you think it's one, be helpful? Would it be worthwhile? But I didn't want to go any further than without the support of the committee. If they're comfortable with that, because it would have to come from the committee. I mean, I could do it as a private citizen, but speaking on behalf of the finance committee, I think would carry some weight. It might be helpful.
Can we do that?
For town meeting, we can. There's not much we can't do about
I
town
thought
meeting.
there was something that we couldn't really,
Campaigning, is that considered a campaign?
On the ballot.
Yeah.
This is a town meeting article.
oh,
We're not talking about the
We haven't
ballot.
got there yet.
all right, okay, I got it. All
And
right.
we're talking about the budget,
Okay,
not necessarily the ballot question.
okay, I got it.
What I could do is I could draft something and circulate it, because it's gonna be in our name. You all have to be on board with it.
Mhm.
But I just was curious. I talked to Betsy about it earlier, she thought it would be best if the committee agreed, if they were willing to have their signature on something like that.
I think,
They'd rather
I
not.
think it's a great idea. I really, every time I see something on either Facebook or Duxbury Helping Duxbury, the fact that we really have no representation on that,
Right,
it just feel like we're leaving ourselves pretty vulnerable to just we've never seemed to be able to support it.
right.
Support ourselves in front of those negative comments.
Yeah, I don't have an objection to it per se, and Fred, you and I have discussed this in the past, as far as a uniform front, right? To put that into the community. I'm just trying to kind of look at my, crystal ball here a little bit. Is that something that we're setting a precedent for, or that an expectation is being set that is something that we would be doing on a year-over-year basis? I don't know. I'm just spitballing a little bit here.
Well, I think that this is an unusual year. It's not just our regular budget. It's we're speaking to the override.
I don't view it as precedent setting. I think it's an explanation of our vote on one particular article.
Yeah.
Article 5.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're not, again, setting a precedent for something or an expectation of something. But again, I think that this is an important enough an issue that we spent so many hours on, and so many people in this room devoted their lifetime this, September through now, right? To make sure that we heard all that was required of us. So yeah, I think it's either all of us or none of us, right?
Yes, that was my only comment
Right.
today to Fred, is that I wanted everybody to be on board with this, because the more powerful statement would be to list our names.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I would never want to put anybody in a position where they did not think that that was something that they were comfortable with or in favor of. And we can, touch base with Teddy and JR
Right.
and
What I do is I figured I'd write a draft,
Mhm.
something, and it's just about what we've discussed. It's nothing new.
Mhm.
And I'll circulate it, and I guess that would be a reason to hold a meeting, so.
why don't you send it to me? We'll send it out, and then anybody,
Any-
please don't hit reply all. When you see the letter, if there is a comments be made, just send them to me individually or to friend individually. And we can bring it up at our next meeting, but
We can read it into the minutes of the meeting.
read the minutes meeting, but don't reply all.
But you might want it before that to get into the Clipper.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
So that's why it would have to be done next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it would have to be in the file.
Yep, exactly right.
All right,
And hopefully Matt has room for us on the opinion page for that week.
I make it an epistle. It's going to be hopefully concise, to the point letter.
Okay.
That's my goal. All right, that's all I have.
Great.
All right. Well,
Motion to
good.
adjourn?
Yes, I would like that. And
Cool.
I did promise that we were gonna get out of here at a reasonable hour, so this is good.
It's been moved and seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
aye, great.
Good night, all.